Welcome to the Here's My Story channel. I'm Lauren. I jumped into the shower after gym class. When I came out, some of the girls were looking at me and laughing, and some were giving me pitying looks. I caught one of the laughing girl's eyes. "What's up? Why are you laughing?" I asked. A friend pointed to my locker and said, "You're not going to like this." I turned to my locker. It was open and empty inside. "Where are my clothes?" I screamed. The same friend replied, "Charlotte took them. I told her not to, but she didn't listen." There I was, stranded in the locker room with a towel wrapped around my body. My enemy Charlotte had stolen my clothes from my locker and took them away. I knew why she had done it. We had a chemistry exam the day before. As usual, Charlotte hadn't studied. She sat in the chair behind me. She wanted to copy from my paper. Throughout the exam, she kept whispering, "Move to the right. I can't see. Show me the answer to the other question." After the exam, I said to her, "Charlotte, what you're doing is dangerous. You could get both of us into trouble." "Don't you say that again, or you'll have to deal with the consequences," she screamed. So I guess her taking my clothes were the consequences she was talking about. Even though she pulled these kinds of tricks all the time, I couldn't fight back because her father was the general manager of the company my father worked for. She threatened me by saying, "If you tell the school administration, I'll tell my dad and he'll fire your dad." I had no choice but to tolerate her so my dad wouldn't get hurt. Believe it or not, Charlotte and I used to be good friends. Our families used to hang out together. Back then, her father wasn't the general manager yet. We used to have them over for barbecues in our backyard all the time. Our families got along as well as we did. According to my dad, Charlotte's father changed a lot once he became the general manager. My dad went to his office to congratulate him. "Congratulations, Greg," he said. Do you want to know what Charlotte's father's response was? "I'm your superior now. Don't call me by my first name. From now on, you need to call me Mr. Dachshund." This is so weird, but Charlotte started treating me the same way. One morning when we got off the bus, she threw me her backpack. "Take this to class. I'm going to check my makeup in the restroom," she said and rushed away. I yelled after her, "Charlotte, what do you mean? Why are you ordering me around now?" She walked away without a word. We had math class that day. We were assigned some challenging homework. Charlotte came to me after class. "We're going out of town this weekend. You're doing my math homework. Send it to me Sunday night," she said. "Excuse me? Why am I doing your math homework? You need to watch your tone and stop bossing me around," I told her. "You realize that my dad is the reason why you're able to pay your bills, right? You'll be doing my homework from now on, or you'll have to deal with the consequences," she said. My dad has been working for this company for the last 3 years. Prior to this job, he was unemployed for a whole year. He got depressed because he couldn't find work. I had to keep quiet because I didn't want my dad to get hurt. From that day on, Charlotte started taking advantage of me. But there was nothing I could do. I had to do everything she told me to. One evening, my mom said, "Honey, my company gave me a Macy's gift card. Let's go get something for you tomorrow." "Mom, I don't need anything right now. You should go and get something for yourself," I responded. When my mom insisted, saying, "Then let's spend half on you and the other half on me," I had to say yes. The next day we went to Macy's. My mom got me a pair of pink capri pants. She picked a dress for herself and got into a fitting room to try it on. As I was waiting for my mom, I saw Charlotte. She didn't see me. She also found herself a fitting room to try on some clothes she'd picked up. Mom came out of the fitting room. "I don't like this one. I'll try to find another dress," she said. I was already getting enough of Charlotte at school. I didn't want to have to deal with her here as well. "Mom, this place is getting stuffy. I'll wait for you at the door," I said, quickly walking away. I walked across the street and started waiting over there so Charlotte wouldn't see me when she left the store. After a while, Charlotte came out. Since she wasn't carrying any shopping bags, she probably didn't like any of the things she tried on. Meanwhile, I noticed something. She was wearing the pink capri pants I had just gotten. What a coincidence. Charlotte has the same pants. We'll accidentally be twinning if we wear them to school on the same day, I thought. Then I suddenly understood. I said to myself, if she had been wearing those pants when she was going into the fitting room, I would have definitely noticed. That means she just bought them. But why would she put them on the second she bought them? It didn't make much sense for her to put on the pants she just bought and then leave with them. There was only one explanation for this. Charlotte put the capri pants on in the fitting room and then never took them off. She stole them. On the other hand, there was no reason why she would do that. They were very well off financially. Maybe I didn't really notice what she was wearing when I first saw her, I thought. I didn't even tell my mom about it because I wasn't sure. A few weeks passed. A kid in my class named Toby asked, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend? You want to do something?" "Oh, my grandma's visiting," I replied. Actually, that was a lie. I didn't want to go out with Toby because there was someone else I liked. When Charlotte saw Toby was with me, she rushed over. "What were you and Toby talking about? I don't want to see you near him again," she yelled. I had no clue that Charlotte was into Toby. "You don't have to be upset. He wanted to go out on the weekend, but I made up an excuse," I said. "Toby can't be into you. I'm sure you were hitting on him. You'll pay for this," she screamed. Whatever I said, I couldn't convince her that she wasn't right. She wouldn't believe me. "You'll get the punishment you deserve," she said as she walked away. A few days later, when I came home from school, I saw my mom was crying. My dad was home and he looked devastated. "What's going on?" I asked. My mom said, "They let your father go for no reason. We're so upset. He's been treated so unfairly." I knew the real reason behind this was Charlotte, but I couldn't say anything. I gave my dad a hug and started crying. He had lost his job because of me. I couldn't have Charlotte get away with this. That night, as I was thinking about what I could do, I thought about that day I saw her at Macy's. She had told me that they were always moving across the country because of her father's job. Was it possible that the reason for their moving wasn't her father's job, but Charlotte herself? Perhaps they had to keep moving from state to state because Charlotte was getting caught shoplifting. I went on Google News. I searched for Charlotte Dachshund shoplifting. Nothing came up. Unfortunately, I was wrong. There was no real reason for Charlotte to steal anyway. Suddenly, I thought of something. Charlotte was underage. Perhaps the police weren't revealing her full name when informing the press. This time, I did a search with her initials. CD shoplifting. Bingo! I got 5 results. There were no photos, but all of them were about stealing clothes. Each incident took place in a different state. And brace yourself, the stores were all Macy's. I had a really important clue, but it still wasn't enough to corner Charlotte. I needed stronger evidence. I skipped school that week. I waited on the sidewalk across from Macy's every day. On Thursday, just as I was about to give up, I saw Charlotte. I was so excited. I took her photos as she was going into the store. You know why I did that, right? If she planned on pulling the same trick, she would be wearing the clothes she stole while leaving the store. 20 minutes later, Charlotte left the store and, just as I suspected, was wearing different clothes. I took more photos of her. This was important evidence. Using these photos, I could prove that she was a thief. I ran home. My parents were still devastated. They were surprised to see me so happy. "I have great news for you," I said, and started to tell them what Charlotte had been putting me through for months. My dad said, "Why didn't you tell us? Her father, Greg, was acting the same way with me and I couldn't say anything, but you didn't have to take it." "That's okay, Dad. Soon they'll no longer be our problem," I said, explaining everything that happened since that day I saw Charlotte at Macy's. I showed them the first news stories I found on Google. Then the photos I took in front of the store. They were really surprised about Charlotte's obsessive stealing from Macy's using the same trick. The next day, my dad took the photos from me and went to work. According to what my dad told us, Greg was shocked to see the photos. "Charlotte's shoplifting again? But she's in treatment. We thought she wasn't stealing anymore," he said. Apparently, Charlotte had a behavioral disorder called shoplifting addiction. People living with this psychiatric condition generally shoplift from grocery stores. Some of them, like Charlotte, get obsessed with one clothing store and keep stealing from that same place. Greg also had an important confession to make. "Unfortunately, I fired you because my daughter wanted me to. Her psychiatrist warned us, saying anytime Charlotte gets stressed, she'll get back to stealing again. When Charlotte asked me to fire you, I just had to do it. I didn't know she was still stealing while getting treatment. I simply didn't know." Then he apologized to my dad and rehired him on the spot. The following day, I saw Charlotte at school. She changed her lane when she saw me. Apparently, her dad had told her everything. I ran and caught up with her. "I'm not going to show the photos I took of you to anyone. My dad also promised your dad. All of this stays between us. Your dad resigned from his job at the company. He said you all were going to move again. You've been using me for months, but I think this is enough punishment, and I'm happy to see it." "Lauren, I'm so sorry. I'm really so sorry. I'm a bad person. Please forgive me," she cried, her voice breaking into sobs. I looked at her in disgust. I turned around and started walking away without saying another word. I deserve it. Please forgive me. You're my best friend, Charlotte cried in the distance as I kept walking away.